Hi guys. Yay, it's working. Okay. Looks like you guys can see me. Hi everybody. My name's Amanda. I'm teaching an all-level flow for you guys today, not from Four Corners Yoga Studio, but from my home. So this is my backyard. It's like my favorite place in the world. So it's pretty cool that I get to teach from here today. I am so sorry that I don't get to see any of you guys in person though. I know eventually we'll be back together, but I hope you guys enjoy being able to flow from home for now. So remember, all these videos will eventually be posted online as well at the Four Corners Yoga website. So if you want a link to those later on as a Four Corners member, feel free to message the studio and we'll make sure you guys get those. So let's start to flow, okay guys? I have my mat. I do have a blanket as a prop just in case you guys want to have one from home, and I have 2 blocks as well if you guys want to be using those specifically for modifications. Today we're gonna start laying on our back with our knees bent. So I'm gonna try to keep an eye on the video, make sure you guys can see me. Looks good. So you guys can see I'm gonna relax here, knees bent, feet flat on the mat. And I wanna take some deep cleansing breaths. Nice, beautiful, deep inhale through the nose. And let's have some beautiful Ujjayi breaths on our exhale. So as we exhale through the nose, let's create that hiss or that ha in the back of our throat. Again, 2 more just like that. Allowing our breath to become our constant, the thing that can remain steady in this ever-changing landscape that can feel so uncertain at times. Go ahead, give me 1 more of those. Let's start to add some movement now to our breath. So on our next exhalation, we can let those feet kind of widen out. The knees are gonna separate and fall to the left. Arms can even kind of come out in T position if that's comfortable. But then on the inhale, we'll continue that movement. We'll return to center. Then on the exhale, let those legs fall to the opposite side. So now we're creating this kind of back and forth, nice gentle movement. Let's go 2 more times, both directions. Good job, guys. Let's bring it back to center. Let's pull those knees into our chest. Deep breath in, slowly exhaling. Let's do another nice inhale, pull them nice and close. And on our exhale, let's start to just kind of circle those knees. Inhaling and exhaling, getting just a little bit of movement through those hips. You can move at your own pace. You can move a little faster or slower than me. Feeling those hips kind of rock side to side. As I reach center, I'm gonna pause, and then I'm gonna move opposite direction. back to center. Let's pause and hold in nice and tight. Beautiful deep breath in. And then on our exhale, let's go ahead and extend those feet into the hands. I'm gonna grab the outside of my feet or my ankles into happy baby. Just starting to get a little bit of length through the hamstrings. If we've been at home, we haven't moved a lot yet, they might feel a little tight, so I love kind of doing kind of an in and out. You can also kind of rock side to side. Beautiful, guys. Let's go ahead, release those legs all the way down to the mat. I'm gonna roll to my side, push that ground away. Then I can see you guys again. I'm gonna come to lotus pose for the first time, and we're gonna continue kind of those circles. So hands on the knees, I'm just gonna circle us forward and back. Good. And then I'm gonna pause, come around the opposite direction. If you guys like to flow outside, the sun feels really good. I thought it'd be colder. Let's pause back at center. Let's go ahead, close those eyes momentarily. Take a nice solid deep breath in and out. Beautiful. As we open those eyes, let's bring those feet underneath us. And I'm gonna kind of roll to just a forward fold. Good. Let that head and neck kind of go loose. Make sure my hat doesn't come off. And from this forward fold, we can kind of like walk it out. Bending those knees, alternating. Good. And then I'm even going to let my head drop even more in case you're holding tension in the head or neck. And take a nice ragdoll kind of fold. Beautiful. And then as I release my hands down, I'm going to roll up really slowly. Imagine each vertebrae is kind of straightening as you come up. Good. Until we return to a standing Tadasana or mountain pose. So I'm facing you guys right now. I'm going to transition to the front of my mat. Making sure you can see me. So from this Tadasana, let's move through a full sun salutation A. Really deliberately, really slowly. Deep breath in. Let's reach up. And exhale, hands coming to center, flowing through that middle. Inhale, flat back. And let's exhale. From here, we can step, hop, or float back to our high plank. And let's do a nice slow chaturanga lower. This can be from the knees or the toes before we inhale, shoulders down. Palms nice and flat into our cobra or upward dog. Exhaling into our first down dog. Let's kind of settle in here. Maybe walk that down dog out just like we did our forward fold. Good. Even those feet out. Let's lift those eyes to our hands. Step or hop forward. Forward fold on our exhale. Deep breath in. And let's do that one more time. Maybe a little bit faster. Exhaling down. Inhaling flat back. Exhaling, releasing to that mat. Lowering down. Inhaling to cobra or upward dog. Before we exhale back to our down dog. One more breath here. On our inhale, let's start our transition. We're going to take tabletop position, but we're going to hover those knees. So I'm gonna go ahead, bring my hands right under those shoulders. Belly is tucked in nice and tight. Back is flat. Good. And you can see I have light underneath my knees, and the balls of my feet are in contact with the mat. We're gonna hold this tabletop position, but move to a side plank. If at any point you need to drop those knees, you're more than welcome to, but I'm gonna allow my hips to kind of fall and roll, right hand coming up. So see, my hips can even kind of dip a little lower if you want a little extra stretch. Good, let's return back to that hovering tabletop. Same thing, opposite side. Good. Beautiful. From here, we can drop to those knees. If you've been holding that floating tabletop, let's push that ground away. Cat stretch. To cow. Inhaling cat. Exhaling cow. Let's flatten that lower back out so we have a nice stable tabletop pose. Extend our right leg, or left arm extends as well. Eyes looking down, crown of the head pointing forward, bird dog. 2 more breaths here. Nice, slow, and deep inhale and exhale before we release down. Before we do our opposite side, let's take a quick down dog. If you'd like to take a vinyasa, you're more than welcome to. Good. I'm going to return to that hovering tabletop. Good. Releasing down. Left leg's going to extend out. Right arm's going to extend out. Keep that back nice and flat. 3 breaths here. Beautiful. Let's release it down. Once again, taking that down dog, holding here for recovery, or if you'd like, you can once again flow through that vinyasa. Beautiful work, guys. Let's lift our right leg nice and high. Kick it up to the sky. Let's pull that knee into our chest. Kick it right back up 2 more times, nice and slow. And on our final 3-legged dog, we'll pull that knee into the chest, but also plant that foot right by our hand. Let's go ahead, lift up, warrior 1. Let's hold our warrior 1, 3 breaths. Gaze nice and steady. Beautiful. And then we'll exhale into our warrior 2. Feel free to lengthen that pose out if you'd like. 3 breaths here. Beautiful. Let's release into reverse warrior. Beautiful deep breath in. 1 more breath in and out. Holding that balanced pose before we let that right hand come all the way down. Left hand goes up in extended side angle. This is where, if you'd like to modify, right knee can come to, or right elbow can come to right knee, or you can use one of our little blocks to make that ground feel a lot closer. So we've been holding for about 3 breaths, give or take. Let's release that left hand down. This brings us to an upright runner stretch, and then we can step back to down dog. Again, holding here, taking maybe a recovery child's pose, or flowing through that vinyasa. Let's do that same nice drawn out flow on our left side, left leg up, left knee into our chest. 2 more times. On that third one, we plant that foot, drop our back heel, lifting to our warrior 1. Good job. 3 breaths here. And on our third exhalation, let's release to warrior 2. Finding strength and stillness in this pose. Good. Following that exhale, let's transition to reverse warrior. Eyes looking up through that hand. 2 breaths. And transitioning to extended side angle. Keeping that front knee nice and kind of lunged forward. On our next exhale, we release that right hand down, hands on either side of that front foot, stepping back to down dog or your vinyasa. So now we're going to move through that same sequence, just speeding it up so we have 1 movement per breath. So on our next inhale, let's extend that right leg up, pull it into the chest on our exhale. Inhale up, exhale, knee to chest. Inhale 1 final time up, exhale, plant that foot. Inhale, warrior 1. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle pose, whatever modification you like. Inhale, release those hands to the mat. Exhale to down dog. Beautiful job. We'll do that same thing opposite side. Inhale, reaching up, 3-legged dog, left leg. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, up. Exhale. 1 final time. Exhale, stepping it forward. Inhale, warrior 1. Exhale, warrior 2. Good job, guys. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle pose. Inhale, releasing to the mat. Exhaling, stepping back to down dog. Beautiful work. If you'd like to take another vinyasa, feel free. Then we're going to all meet in child's pose, dropping to those knees, sitting back on those heels, arms staying out in front of you. Let's take 3 breaths here. Great work. Let's slowly roll up so we're sitting back on our heels. I want to make sure I have enough room so you guys can see me. So I'm just going to scooch forward just a little bit. So we're sitting in half hero. Right now I have my blocks nearby because we're going to kind of ease into a really gentle camel pose, or if camel is part of your practice, you're welcome to take the full pose. But let's start out, everyone, just by kind of reaching out slightly behind us. We're not going to lift super high. We just want to feel a nice stretch through the front of the hip flexors. Lifting up, letting that head drop. Exhaling into the pose. Inhale back. I'm going to widen my half hero out a little bit so I sit a little flatter on the ground. Inhaling and then exhaling. Coming up. We'll do that one more time. You want the pose to be a little gentler, just walking those hands out a little bit farther. We'll give you a little less lift. Beautiful. So from here, I'm going to walk my feet back in, bring my knees underneath me. It's up to you as well. If the tops of your feet are pretty tight, you can always come back on the balls of your feet. Sorry, so you guys can see. Because from here, we're going to reach just our right hand back, place it either on our heel or on a block. And I want to have a nice lift up through the hips, tightening those glutes, lengthening that lower spine. Left arm goes up, and we're going to exhale back ever so slightly, coming forward and sitting down. Same thing, opposite side, just so you guys can see. If I use my hand on my foot, I could come up and exhale. So now that we're a little more familiar with that, let's move through it almost like we're doing a flow. So I'm going to reach that left hand around, lift, up and back. Inhale, bring it forward, opposite side. Again, inhale. And exhale. Now, if camel pose, the full posture is part of your practice, you're welcome to take it now, reaching back for those heels, lifting through those hips. My hat's gonna fall. If this isn't part of your practice, you're new to camel, or you have any reason you want to support that lower back a little more, you can do the same pose with hands right on your sacrum. See how just a little small bend? Good. And then as we exit that camel pose, come up, we can sit back in that child's pose, really kind of reaching. Again, if it feels good to kind of go nice and wide with those knees, feel free to do so. About 3 breaths recovering here. One more breath in and out. Good. Let's come up to our hands and knees, back toes underneath us, finding us once again in down dog. Good work. Let's lift those eyes to those hands, bend those knees, step or hop forward. Forward fold. And then a deep breath in, reaching up. Bringing those feet together, coming hand center to Tadasana. Let's go ahead, sit down in our chair pose. So notice I'm really pushing those hips back, belly's nice and tight. Pressing those hands together. If you'd like to add to this pose, you can extend those hands up. Let's hold one more breath, inhaling and exhaling. Good. On our next inhale, big reach up. And then let's step back to warrior 2. Inhale, straighten that front knee. We're going to take Trikonasana. Again, if you have a block at home, you're welcome to use it as I reach forward with nice straight legs, but not locked out. We always want to have like a slight bend in the knee before we drop that left hand to the mat or block, eyes lifting through that right hand. Beautiful. Let's slowly roll up. Let's take reverse warrior. If you want to add a little bit, you can bring that hand behind the back, lifting with that left arm. Beautiful. Returning back to warrior two. I'm going to move my block aside. As I take warrior one, I'm going to return to where we started, chair pose. Beautiful. Let's move to the opposite side. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, stepping back, left foot, warrior two. Good. We're going to take Trikonasana now on our opposite side. Straightening that front leg, reaching forward, dropping that right hand to the knee, shin, ankle, or block, or mat. On our next inhale, we'll slowly lift, returning to that reverse warrior, adding that internal rotation in that left arm if you'd like. Good. Back to warrior two, to warrior one, and back to chair pose. Good. Let's have a revolve chair. Let's take our hands to heart center. Lifting our right elbow, dropping that left elbow to the point to the ground. Eyes looking up through that right elbow towards the sky. Beautiful. As we come back to center, let's do a big reach up. Flowing through that middle into the left side of that revolved chair. Keep that chest open. Try to not move those knees. I know I'm moving them just a little. Good. Coming back to center, reaching up. And let's flow through a full vinyasa, exhaling all the way down. Inhale, flat back. Exhaling, stepping or hopping back, lowering to that mat. Beautiful job, guys. Settling here just a bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and reach my right leg up nice and high and allow that hip to open. Bending that knee, open scorpion dog. I'm going to step that right foot all the way forward, dropping that back knee to the mat. So we're sitting or kind of holding in a low lunge. Good. Let's let both hands go up. And I'm going to let my chest revolve across my body. So this can be a little challenging. You can always shorten up that stance if you want. But I'm going to reach back. Ooh. You want a little assistance, you can always kind of hold that right knee. Good. Extending back out. And let's kind of like revolve to go the opposite direction. So this kind of becomes like a kneeling warrior two. Good. Let's go back to that opposite side. This is great for thoracic mobility. And again. into that kneeling warrior 2. Perfect. As we come back, let's come to a kneeling warrior 1. And then we're gonna settle into lizard pose. So I'm gonna release my hands down, walk both hands into the inside of the mat. At this point, you're welcome to maybe crawl that foot out or forward just a little. You're also welcome to maybe use a block in front of you for your forearms, or if you want to walk those hands as far forward as you can, maybe you want to rest that forehead on a block or on the mat. That's 100% up to you. Really breathe into this hip opener. Good. I'm slowly going to exit my lizard pose. Bringing my blocks to the side. I want to get a little dynamic movement here. Since we're down in lizard already, I want to allow for that knee to open. But then imagine like we're making a circle, like a crescent circle, or half circle, I guess I should say, with our knee, like we're drawing that out. Good. 3 times total. And then as always, since this is an all level class, if you're used to some hand balances or higher, more challenging positions, I guess I should say, you're welcome here to kind of slowly enter like EPK2, so I can float that back leg up. Even if you're just in lizard and floating that leg, it's good practice, a good strength builder. But again, we can get that right hand underneath and kind of walk that foot out. From that either EPK2 or floating lizard, let's go ahead, step back to down dog and take that vinyasa. Good. So we'll work through that same sequence, opposite side. Let's take that left leg nice and high. You want to open that hip a little bit into open scorpion dog, go ahead. And then exhale, stepping that foot forward, releasing that back knee down to the mat, lifting into our kneeling warrior 1. And then just like we did on that other side, let's kind of revolve that pose. So open our chest towards or across our body, I guess you could say. Which your body might be a little tight now on this opposite side since it's our first time doing it. And then like cartwheel those hands to warrior 2. This side is way tighter on me, so you might notice that yourself. Good, let's bring it around. Good, I'm gonna like backwards cartwheel. Good. And then we can come back to that warrior 1. Release those hands down, enter that lizard pose. So take this time, guys, like pay attention to how your body feels, what feels good in this lizard pose, if that knee kind of coming out and open feels better, if keeping that knee in line gives you more of a stretch. Use these next 3 to 5 breaths for yourself. Make sure you get the most out of that pose. Beginning that transition back upright, nice and slow at first. Again, kind of preparing that body for a little bit more movement in this lizard pose. Start those kind of half circles. Good work, guys. And Again, you could maybe continue these half circles a little bit longer. You could transition to that floating lizard, or you can ease into your EPK2, which my leg wants to slip on this shirt I'm wearing, so not perfect posture, but yoga never has to be perfect, because from here we can step back to our beautiful down dog, center our body out, walk it out if you'd like, or feel free to take that vinyasa. Wonderful work so far, guys. I'm going to lift my eyes up to my hands, bend those knees, step or hop forward once again. This time I'm going to allow a little longer forward fold. So if you want to kind of like slide those hands under your feet, allow that head and neck to drop, starting with knees bent and then just allowing those legs to kind of straighten out. Taking one more breath here. Beautiful. Let's slowly release those hands from under those feet. Take a big deep breath in, reach up. Good. Hands to heart center. I'm going to turn to face you guys so you guys can see me and I can see you a little more clearly. I'm going to do a standing posture. I feel like with this backdrop, we can't not do tree pose. So we're going to do a beautiful tree pose. There's so many variations for tree. We can start that foot just right down low at the mat, but we can also let it work its way up the leg or choose the most traditional, I guess, posture. Hopefully my foot doesn't slip. Up nice and high. Beginning with hands at heart center, really pushing those kind of fingertips together, maybe placing those thumbs on your heart center or your sternum. Remembering that tree, while a balance pose, is also a grounding pose. It centers us. It allows our body to feel rooted to the ground, to the place where we are in life, even though everything around us may be moving or shifting, those roots stay strong. Good. We can even kind of move our arms a little bit, act like branches, even if those arms sway and move, our tree can stay nice and steady. Beautiful work, guys. Let's carefully release that tree pose down to the ground. Let's take it kind of behind, right leg behind our left leg before we move to that opposite side. I'm going to do a nice lateral side bend. Right hand goes down, left hand goes up, and even kind of over if we'd like. Good. As we bring this down, I'm going to kind of walk that foot out, out, out. It's up to you. Here, I'm going to make sure I'm more in the middle of my mat. If you'd like to attempt kind of like baby grasshopper, you can kind of drop down here, reach for that foot, extend that foot out, and then transition back. Woo, as I lose my balance to that upright Tadasana. Moving to our tree pose on the opposite side, okay? Let's take that left foot, place it again to your comfortable place of balance. If standing on your mat, especially like if you're at home and practicing on carpet, is really hard, maybe you can find a solid hardwood or tile surface to balance on, or even just stepping off your mat can make it maybe a little easier. ourselves here on this side. Allow some movement to come to those arms. Again, you pick your arm position. Maybe you want to do a really nice wide arms. Maybe you want to add a mudra. You want to extend, make yourself that tallest tree you can. But whatever posture you choose, slowly return back to that heart center. Always attempting to control the exit of that pose. And then, like we did before, crossing that left foot behind the right, letting that left hand slide down that left leg. Right hand goes up. Ooh, this side's tight. Good. Breathing into that stretch before we return back to center. Again, I'm going to keep my weight in my right foot to kind of ease into that baby grasshopper option. And allow those knees to bend. So almost like we're doing that chair pose. We're kind of leaning down onto that left hand, walking that left leg out as far as we can. Bending that knee, grabbing that toe. Extending into baby grasshopper. If you've never tried baby grasshopper or you're new to this pose, see how I allowed those hips to kind of rotate and dip down? So now my hips are almost pointed towards the mat. Feel free to allow that to happen. Sometimes we roll maybe onto our hips. That's fine. We've all been there. Then I'm going to slowly exit back out into a forward fold. Good work. Let's take a deep breath in, reach up. I'm going to transition back to the front of my mat as I exhale to heart center. I'm going to step back with my right foot, warrior one. Exhaling, warrior two. Now, if you have a block nearby, you may need it. So we're going to transition into half moon pose. So my goal here is going to stay with my chest and my hips open to that long line, the right side of my mat. But I'm going to allow myself to push off with that right foot, drop with that left hand, hover that right leg up. If you're new to half moon, you prefer to keep those eyes down. That can kind of help with your balance. But if you're able, you can always gaze up. And we're going to go right back to where we were in that warrior two. Good. Let's take Trikonasana style position once again. Straight legs. We're going to reach. We're just going to do some dynamic kind of drops and lifts. Drops and lifts. Two more. Last one. Coming all the way up. Keep those triangle legs. Reverse triangle. Back to warrior two. To warrior one. Good job. Remember, we stepped back, so we're stepping forward. Big inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. Stepping back. Warrior one. Exhaling, warrior two. So again, kind of preparing to lunge forward, pushing off with that left foot, letting that right hand drop, and lifting to half moon. Remember, half moon, that femur is externally rotated, so we don't want those hips rolling forward. We want those hips rolling up and out. Good. Slowly releasing back. Taking that Trikonasana with our pulses. Dropping down and lifting. Down and lifting. Two more. Good work. Keeping those legs relatively straight. Releasing. into reverse triangle before taking warrior two. Inhaling warrior one, exhaling, stepping forward. Let's do a big reach up. Let's do a swan dive down, leading through our sun salutation A. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, stepping, hopping, or floating back. Beautiful work, guys. We're going to take our right leg up nice and high. Let's bend that knee, pull that leg forward, lay it across our mat. We're going to ease into pigeon pose. So I'm starting upright. If you have blocks, these blocks can always assist you by kind of sitting under that hip. If your body's a little tight, the blanket can also act like a block. So I could always kind of like ease this for just a little extra support here. From this upright position, I'm going to slowly transition to sleeping pigeon. So that may be having a block underneath your forehead, depending on what height you want to release to the mat. The main thing is you want to be comfortable. Beautiful job. I'm going to start my transition from that sleeping pigeon back upright. If you want to get a little extra stretch in the quad muscle on that left side, you can kind of do like a back and forth bend to that knee. Good work, guys. And then when you're ready, you can remove any props you were using, stepping back to down dog. You may notice those hips feel a little different now that one's really stretched out and opened up. So you can kind of walk it out side to side. And then when you're ready, let's take that pigeon pose, opposite leg. Left leg goes up nice and high, stepping forward. Laying it across that mat. Paying attention to maybe if this side feels a little bit different. And using that prop as you ease into that sleeping pigeon. Holding here 3 to 5 breaths, give or take your length or extension of your breath. On our final exhale, we can start that transition back to that upright posture. Again, just like we did on that opposite side, maybe getting a little bending in that leg. You guys have done amazing so far. And then when you're ready, leaving that right leg down, lifting so that you're on the ball of that back foot, giving yourself room to pull that left leg all the way through and back. Back to our down dog, back to our vinyasa if you'd like. Good work. And from here, I'm gonna go ahead, bend my knees, but then I'm gonna step right to the middle part of my mat, letting my feet come nice and wide, letting those hips dip down into a yogi squat or malasana. The goal in malasana is to allow those tailbones to tuck under, or that tailbone to tuck under, but allow that spine to stay long and that chest to remain open. We don't ever want to round out holding our malasana, so we really want to work on kind of lifting or lengthening. You can actually, if malasana is really hard for you, you can use your blanket to kind of give a little room for those heels. That's just an option. And then let's go ahead, extend right arm up, left hand down, opening that chest to the right side of our mat. If you want to try that bind behind the back, letting that right hand turn down like thumbs down and pull behind you in internal rotation. Just keep that chest open, eyes up. Good, back to center. We'll do that same thing opposite side, and always pay attention, see if maybe the opposite side is tighter or looser. Turning that thumb down, bringing that hand behind the back. And opening back up, back to center. Let's ease out of malasana into a forward fold. Let's return those feet back to center, back so that they're facing forward. And take a deep breath in. Let's reach up. And let's work on our hinges at the hips. So I'm going to shift, if I'm facing you, I'm going to shift all my weight onto that left side. Let that right hip lift, even though that leg is still straight. And by hinging at the hip, it means that my belly doesn't fold over on itself. I'm going to let that right leg drop back. Arms coming forward in Warrior 3. Alternate options would be having those hands at heart center, letting those hands touch down to the ground with a block, or releasing those hands back behind us. Whichever option you choose, let's transition right back to where we started. Letting those hands come to heart center as we balance and even out the weight on those legs. Same thing, opposite side. Exhaling into that Warrior 3. Transitioning right back to where we were. Beautiful. If you want to add maybe a little challenge, my beanie is going to get in the way. I'm going to fold these hands right overhead. Take the same pose in a little folded position. Good. One more time, opposite side, whatever your variation or hand position. Good work, guys. Beautiful job. Let's reach up. Maybe a nice little back bend. Inhaling all the way up to the sky. Let's take a beautiful swan dive down with our exhalation. Inhale, flat back. Exhaling, hands on the mat, stepping or hopping back, lowering down. Final vinyasa. Exhaling to down dog. Beautiful work. When you're ready from this down dog, let's drop those knees to our mat. Sit back on our heels. I want us to kind of start our transition into Shavasana with a really beautiful surrendering position in child's pose. So as I start to bring my forehead to the mat, I'm going to show you. We're going to bring just palms together and let them walk their way out so we get nice, long arms or chest. And as my forehead comes down, I'm going to bring these palms right to the base of my neck. Slowly release out of that. One final stretch before we come onto our backs. Let's kind of lift those hips over those knees, walk those hands out in front of us. Take a beautiful, long, extended puppy pose. Beautiful work. Walking those hands kind of right back in line, rolling those hips back. I'm going to roll up nice and slow to that half hero and then allow myself to transition kind of back to where we started. Let's return to laying on our back, knees bent. If at any point you guys want to put on like a sweater or anything like that as we ease into Shavasana, like I'm going to put on socks so my feet don't get cold. But we're going to lay back, knees bent, feet flat on the mat. Let's go back to just that side to side kind of stretch. Once again, my feet are on the edges, nice and wide of my mat. I'm going to let those knees separate, fall to the left. Letting them come back to center, they can fall to the right. One more time. This time as they fall to the left, if you want to leave them there, and maybe add like that left foot to rest kind of on that right knee. And then as we release, come back to center, do the same thing, opposite side. Beautiful job. So at this point, guys, I want to give you some space to have Shavasana time. If you're comfortable where you are, you're more than welcome to stay there. If you'd like to cover yourself with a blanket or slide a pillow under your head, we are all at home, so I guess we have access to things like that, which is super nice. I'm going to cover up since I'm outside so I don't get chilled. Have a nice, still, quiet few moments of Shavasana. slowly start to bring a little movement or focus back to our body. Maybe moving those fingers, those toes. Let that movement start out very gentle and then just allow it to kind of travel. Travel from your feet, your hands, up through your wrists, your ankles, maybe your elbows, your knees. Start getting a little bit of movement. Maybe take a big stretch overhead. And then with that exhale, we can start our transition from laying in whatever comfortable Shavasana pose we had to an upright seated position. Maybe that seated position can be lotus pose, can be half hero, whatever is comfortable for you. Let's take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Again, one more breath in and out. On our last breath in, let's reach those arms up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Thank you all so much for practicing with me. I think my live on Insta got cut off, so I apologize. But for those of you still watching on Facebook Live, thank you so much. I hope you've had a beautiful practice, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. As always, namaste.